Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. So, though there is limited stuff known about The Flash Season 9 and what's going down within it, outside the fact that, it's of course the final season of the show, that isn't that weird, especially seeing that we are at least like 2.5 months away from the show coming out at the very least. Could be more depending if they move the premiere to sometime later in February, or maybe even March, depending on what the CW wants to do. But there are some things we know outside of it being the final season, which include things teased from the end of season 8 leading into this ninth season, as well as things revealed from set and, in the news cycle and stuff like that. One of those being, by the looks of it, Cobalt Blue. This not being confirmed by Eric Wallace, the showrunner, but not shot down at the same time, and also not being confirmed by him without being confirmed. It's just sort of weird how he went about addressing it, but that might be so people don't assume a certain actor is returning or something like that to play Cobalt Blue. That might be why he did it. Now, there has been a lot of curiosity as to how that tease from the end of Season 8 is going to play out in the story for Season 9, as well as if anything we have seen from set will connect to that, because it is important to remember that there are only 13 episodes in this final season, so we shouldn't expect too many storylines going on, or upwards of like 3 graphic novels like we have had in previous seasons. And though this of course isn't confirmed, I do wonder what we are about to talk about might be what is playing out in season 9, because if it is anything like this, it would be pretty damn cool. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to know your various thoughts on this and what we go over, any changes you'll do, and any other theories and predictions. Very curious to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, like what we talk about, want to drop a like on the video to show your support. So as we know from the end of last season, we had Barry and Iris relaxing, chilling out, catching up on the couch following the defeat and erasure of Reverse Flash, or Eobard Thawne, from the timeline, with the next avatar of the negative Speed Force being brought up, as someone will have to fill that void. And this is when we flash to the future, the year 2049 to be specific, which is where we saw that blue crystal, which, as I said, is what many assume to be connected to Cobalt Blue, with this of course not connecting to a specific character, just that someone will take on that mantle in Season 9 most likely, and most likely they are from the future. Though this crystal we are seeing could be like an artifact of sorts. I mean, it wasn't a lab, so it could be an artifact. And the real villain is from the past, whether that be from where we are in 2022, 2023, or further and deeper into the past. And it is like an old relic, which will be pretty interesting if that's what it is. But that connection between what Barry and Iris were discussing in regards to the negative Speed Force and its next holder or avatar, to then, to the show then showing us the crystal in the future and the story that is brewing, that may have already started within Season 9 and from what we've seen, through some set photos. And this is through the reveal of the long-awaited arrival of Red Death onto the show, and potentially as well, the new Captain Boomerang in the opening episode of this season. Now, we know that this new Captain Boomerang is in at least episode 1, maybe more episodes after that, but Red Death has been confirmed as a recurring character for multiple episodes, which does suggest their involvement with the show is much greater, though we don't know specifically how many episodes that character will feature. So what I think could be happening is that we are being misled, but in a good way. And you might be wondering, give me whatever you want, Paige, because you are loopy. And what I mean by being misled in a good way is that we are seeing various candidates for this new avatar for the negative Speed Force showing up in the early parts of Season 9 following the death of Reverse Flash at the end of last season, with this constant misdirection leading up to the reveal of the new proper holder or avatar of the negative Speed Force, and even many people's predictions for that could be wrong, as they could have one final misdirect and mislead to surprise us right at the end. But who are the candidates for possible holders of the negative Speed Force that, well, don't end up being the case and might be killed off by the eventual holder by the end of everything playing out? Well, going in order, Captain Boomerang, or if you want to be more accurate, the new Captain Boomerang, the Owen Mercer version that we are seeing in set photos from episode 1, and that was also confirmed in like the news cycle and stuff, he could easily be a candidate in the eyes of Barry and Team Flash, and this would not be straying away from the comics and, randomly giving Captain Boomerang speed. Like, what are they doing? But it does depend on how they decide to interpret Owen Mercer. So, in the comics, the Owen Mercer version of Captain Boomerang does have special abilities. In this case, it's like bursts of super speed that allow him to, I guess in simple terms, be like the Flash over a short distance. So he can't, run around the world or something, but he can zoom from one place to another with quick, burst of speed. If you've seen the trailer for, was it like the Suicide Kill the Justice League, whatever that game is called, they use the Digger Harkness Australian version of Captain Boomerang, but he has the powers of Owen Mercer, so he can like throw his boomerangs and catch them with super speed, or just use super speed in general. So sort of like that. And this of course helps when trying to dodge something, this super speed or these short bursts of super speed, or trying to surprise someone, but it also helps when throwing his boomerangs. Now in the description of the character they put out there, for this version of the character that will be appearing on the show in season 9, they did not mention anything like this with his character, that he'd have powers or anything like that. However, in the set photos we did see from episode 1, we do see Owen Mercer near this weird looking machine thing out in the open. And in those same photos, we do see like a weakened Barry on the floor, or like sort of on his knees. And obviously he's dressed as the Flash when he's near it. So it is entirely possible that this machine like maybe takes or absorbs some of Barry's speed, which then is offloaded to Owen Mercer, and he utilizes it for his own things. And potentially this speed giving off a red color when he uses it after this whole process, which might make Barry and Team Flash think that, Captain Boomerang, or this version of Captain Boomerang, could be the new holder of the negative speed force, or a candidate for it, one of the two. And also in those same set photos, Iris is there with that sort of like metahuman weapon that is mostly used for metahumans, obviously. And at least from what we know, he isn't a metahuman when he is released from prison. He's just in the normal prison system. So maybe at this point he has speed, at this point in the episode. And that's why Iris is there with that weapon, because it's like, well, I'm not going to use a taser. I'm going to have to use this gun. But that's obviously a wait and find out. We'll know pretty early on if this is going to be a candidate when we're watching the episode, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do this, because they are using the Owen Mercer version of the character who does have powers in the comics. But the next candidate, and also the last candidate that we'll openly speak about, as you would assume, is that of Red Death. Now, the elephant in the room with Red Death, and either them not being a big bad or them not being around for that long, is the whole season 5 scene in the future in the Flash Museum that says that Red Death killed a lot of people during their reign of terror. However, crisis did happen since that point, so that could be the excuse that's used if Red Death doesn't do a ridiculous amount of damage. But then again, maybe they do kill a lot of people and we just don't expect it to happen this season. Maybe their opening scene when they come to Earth Prime is them killing a whole crowd of people. I have no idea. But as I said, Red Death does appear in at the very least 2 episodes for this season, could be even more. So that's a long enough time to make a mark, whether that be a mark that's made on the Flash or on some other people's tombstones maybe. And if Red Death does pose quite a threat and also has Red Lightning potentially, which you would guess someone with the name Red Death would have, then you can easily think that Team Flash and Barry would think this speedster is the new avatar of the negative speed force, because they are doing quite a lot of damage, maybe even doing more than they think like a reverse Flash would do if they showed up. But seeing that they are showing up so early into this final season, we as the audience can assume that they won't be. So what we could see is that each misled character for this, or mislead of a character for this negative speed force avatar is in maybe like an episode or 2, maybe 3. Whether Barry's going after them or they conveniently show up to be a mislead is another question. Could be a mix. Maybe some show up, maybe some Barry goes after. And by that, I mean sort of like the whole multiverse aspect. So like Captain Boomerang is apparently from Earth Prime based off the character description, but Red Death, as we know, is played by Javicia Leslie, who plays the Earth Prime's Batwoman. So you would have to think that this character is from another Earth. But does she seek out the Flash, or does the Flash seek out her on her Earth? I would guess she comes to Earth Prime to meet the Flash or annoy the Flash. Probably just makes things easy on a writing standpoint as well. But maybe they make a negative speed force detector like Star Labs for Barry, and it leads Barry to her. I'm not too sure which direction they'll go. Maybe it's a bit of both. I'm not too sure. But what we could see is that each misdirect builds up to the true negative speed force avatar holder, which many assume will be Cobalt Blue, which could be the case and I think is the safe option just based off what was set up before. However, it would not surprise me if that is what they want us to believe, and that is how the season plays out, but then Cobalt Blue is taken over or killed by the true successor to the negative speed force, and it's reverse Flash again, but a younger version. And you never know, that could be the start of the new cycle and rivalry between the Flash and Reverse Flash that we've seen over these, 8 going on 9 seasons, possibly even tying into the origin story that was teased all the way back, and well, not all the way back, but last season back in the Armageddon event from the start of last season, which Eric Wallace has stated that he would love to do on the show properly. That seems like a great story to end the show and sort of start the show at the exact same time. And sure, some people might be like, oh, I wish they did Cobalt Blue to this big extreme. And I've been someone that's been wanting Cobalt Blue since season 2, but it depends how many misdirects are if this is what they're going to do. Like Red Death and Captain Boomerang and then Red Death could be the only 2 misdirects, and maybe Zoom or something like that. And even then, you're probably only going up to maybe like episode 6, 7, maybe 8. You still got a lot of episodes where you could focus on Cobalt Blue and then the misdirect, which leads into Reverse Flash, if that's what they want to do. So there's still a lot of time there. But the thing with the Flash debuting much later or premiering much later than usual is that we'll probably be like in the back half of filming, like maybe almost the final third of filming for this final season when the show's coming out. So there'll be a lot of information that's out there by the time they start airing episodes. So we might even know generally what they're going for by the time episode 1 premieres. Hopefully there's not too many spoilers, but enough that makes you curious as to what's going on going forward into this season. But that's a wait and find out. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this, any other theories and predictions, any other changes you would have. Let me know all your thoughts down there. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.